Well, guys, 5 minutes each for fighting!
All right. Welcome back to another episode 9 of 3 Podcast. Razzie, how we feeling today?
Oh, I'm feeling great. It's going to be
hmm
fun. This one's going to be
Yeah,
fun for me,
this one's gonna be a
especially.
good one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Why don't you introduce yourself
100%.
since you didn't do that, as you always
I,
do?
yeah. So, Gil Crouch, your host, along with
Yep.
Nolan, Rasmussen, my co-host. Sorry, CTE starting to kick in pretty
Yeah.
early here. So,
As we talked about a few episodes ago, a lot of
yeah, yeah,
concussions have
yeah. We sure
severely
did.
affected the both of us and lots of memory loss.
Yeah,
Lots of fun. But anyways, let's dive into it.
I played
Today's
before they
guest.
invented concussions. We didn't have concussions in my day. So
just
anyway,
push
go
through
ahead.
it.
I'm kidding you. Yeah.
Go ahead,
As you've
Razzie.
already heard him, today's guest, he's a native of Crystal Lake, Illinois. Guys, if my memory serves me correctly, he got into playing hockey a little bit after 12 years old and played all the way through high school. Took some time off before getting back into men's league shortly after I discovered hockey. Today he works as an economic consultant, is a father of two, and a retired men's league hockey player. The one, the only, my dad, Doug Rasmussen. Dad, how we feeling today?
Hey, good to be here. Son, Nolan and Crouchy, good to be on with you
Yes,
too.
sir.
And
Good to see you again.
I've been tracking you guys online here on your podcast, and I'm honored to be a guest on the Three Help podcast. So
Yeah,
thank you for
absolutely.
having me.
Yeah, we're pumped to have you. I'm sure Razzie's pretty pumped to have you on too. Hear a
Yeah.
couple of your stories and whatnot.
Oh yeah. Some good ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
I'll have some follow-ons today for sure.
Well, I
Crouch, why
guess
don't you kick us off with some questions
yeah,
here?
we'll kick it off here. So, just a little, intro here. Like, how did you get yourself into hockey growing up, and how did it come about?
Yeah. So I grew up in the Chicago suburbs, as Nolan said. My hometown is Crystal Lake, Illinois, which is about an hour outside of the city of Chicago. And I actually was not really into hockey at all until, as Nolan mentioned, a little bit later when I was around 12 or so. For whatever reason, my parents decided to put a pair of hockey skates under the Christmas tree one year. And I had never skated in my life, never played, never been on any skates at all. And I'm old enough where back when I was 12 years old, so this would have been in 1984, 85, somewhere in there. The pond actually froze where I grew up, and so or froze for a while anyway. And there we happened to live in this subdivision that was near this little park that the Crystal Lake Park District had that had just had a like a pond, that was sort of a man-made pond or whatever. And the thing froze, and so a bunch of the kids from the neighborhood would play hockey every day after school. And I went over there, and there was a lot of my neighborhood kid friends, none of whom were really hockey players, but all of them were just kind of out there playing hockey, but more just, pure pond hockey, bunch of ankle benders for the most part. And so that was a perfect place for me to jump right in.
Yeah, yeah,
And what I discovered, guys, was like, oh my God, this is so fun. Like, holy cow. Like I was immediately just captured by it. And I would go out literally every day after school. I didn't have a winter sport at that time, or like
right.
I was like a baseball player as a youth, and I later played football in high school and baseball and hockey, but like I didn't really have an after school activity, and so it was just like so fun every day you go out there, and I liked it so much I decided to try to go into organized hockey the immediate next year, which was a really interesting experience trying out for a team, having skated basically without any training or any coaching on the pond, and then they go out, try out for the Crystal Lake Hockey Club, our organized hockey club in Crystal Lake, and boy, that was a humbling experience. But
Yeah, I
I was a
imagine.
peewee. I was a second year peewee when I started in organized hockey. You know,
Gotcha.
That's very late for those that don't know. That is very late time
Yeah,
to start playing hockey. So
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, I have lots of long stories about that, which I won't get us too derailed, but I just remember the first tryout or two where like literally like, you know, guys would go down and back and the 60-second drill and all these things that
Yeah,
they used to do, the skating at the beginning. And I was like, you know, far behind everybody, right? I mean, embarrassingly so, right? And so fortunately, I had a wonderful coach, Jim Dingle, who I adore to this day. Well, you know, never forget the guy who was just so encouraging. So, which is one of the great things about coaches out there everywhere, right?
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, they're a huge part of all of us as hockey players in our lives, right? So,
Yeah, exactly. Well, Raz, you want to
That's
kick off the next
yeah.
one here, bud?
So I think I've told this story on our first episode of how I got into hockey, but why don't you tell it from your perspective and how you got to watch me grow up and uh, stuff like that?
yeah, so it's kind of interesting because at the time that Nolan discovered hockey, I also wasn't playing hockey again or wasn't into hockey that much. So he was 3 years old, maybe three and a half, definitely not four yet. And you know, he was our first child, and so I forget where, you know, we were young parents and, you know, I was watching Nolan for the day while Nolan's mom was doing something on the weekend or whatever. And it was literally like one of these things, okay, well, do we want to go to the zoo again? Do we want to go to this museum or what can we do to occupy our time? I was like, oh, I have an idea. The St. Louis Blues practice at this place called the Hazelwood Mills in suburban St. Louis in Hazelwood, Missouri. At the time they did anyway. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go out and just gonna go kill an hour out there and we'll
Yeah,
literally go watch the St. Louis Blues practice. And so we get out there and Nolan is all of, you know, yay high. He's 3.5 years old, just a tiny little guy. And he sees these guys just flying around the ice, you know, when we get in there. And you could tell that he was immediately, much like when I got on the ice myself, he was immediately like
just hooked on it.
fascinated, right? And
Yeah,
he,
yeah,
yeah, like the moment he saw it. And then probably the coolest thing that happened, or one of the coolest things that happened was, or maybe this may have been a second practice or so that we went to, because we went once and then he wanted to go back right away again. And but I remember early on, if it wasn't that first day, it was maybe the second time we went. David Backus, who's, you know, longtime St. Louis Blue, and this other Blue, Jay McClement, who was lesser known than David Backus, but you know, they come off the ice and they saw Nolan and they were like super nice to him, be like, "Hey, buddy, what's going on?" And like, you know, really, and so I think he really got into that early, and then, you know, but the moment like he saw that practice, like we bought like this little like toy stick in the little pro shop that they had that day,
yep,
and he was shooting a rolled up sock into a laundry basket, and then we had like this like little plastic goalie mask that we wore, and then we bought him a hockey helmet.
yeah,
There's a picture still on our refrigerator of him being 3.5 years old where I'm in the goalie mask, he's in this little a real hockey helmet, and he just you know, smile as wide as you can
yeah,
see. But he would wear that literally all over town. I mean, so much so that like he would lift up, you know, like at the breakfast, you know,
yeah,
if we go out to eat or something, he'd lift it up and put it in. It was like all like
yeah,
caked with food and stuff, and people people would ask us like, is he injured?
yeah.
Is he like special? You know, like stuff like that.
Oh, he's
And
special,
we
all
would
right.
be like,
Yeah, yeah,
no, he
yeah. That's
just
one way to
loves
put
hockey.
it.
He just loves hockey.
That's awesome.
And so that was kind of it. And then of course that eventually led to like learn to play, you know, and there's a great picture of him on his first learn to play skate where they had a game at the end of the learn to play session. His grandpa took a picture of him. He's just got this wild eyes. So he, you know, he's just loved it. It's really, Nolan, it's really been, I mean, a huge part of your identity. I mean, your entire life. I mean, it's been really interesting to see all through organized hockey to this day. I mean, it's just a big part of who you are. And I think about, gosh, had my parents never put my skates under the tree, would we even be on this call? I don't think we would. You know what I mean? And so it's just a little, it's weird to think like stuff like what random events like that or randomly taking you to this practice, what that triggered, you know? So pretty cool.
100%.
It's awesome to hear that from your perspective. I don't think I've ever
Yeah.
really asked you for your take on that. And, yeah, I think I've left a few details out when I told that one about like jamming food, and that obviously I was the toddler. I don't remember like 90% of this, but
Oh,
yeah, that
yeah. I
was
mean, one of my favorite memories was we went to your mom's extended family in Chicago for Thanksgiving one year, and you, of course, wore the helmet, right, to the Thanksgiving party. And then I think everyone was like, "Oh, hey, Noel, nice helmet," you know, like, and all the uncles and aunts and cousins, and the fact that you were doing the same thing where you were eating your, you know, you would undo your cage, and then you would eat through the as you un, or sometimes you eat through it too, but like, you know,
Wow.
they just thought it was so funny, you know, and it
Awesome.
was funny. It really was. It was really memorable, and I know we still have that helmet at home actually.
it's
So
still in my
maybe
room. Yeah, yeah,
that.
I have it in my room still. So
Yeah, gotta
Yeah,
keep those memories, man. Gotta keep those
that's
memories
right.
for sure. Right?
yeah,
It's
I think I
special for
have it.
sure.
I have like a like foam hat I got at Six Flags. It's like the poop emoji. And it's literally sitting on top of that, and my visor from junior is just like on there too. It's just like
Wow.
I like don't know what to do with any of those three things. They're just sitting
It's
there.
an interesting setup.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. Just I've got
Oh
some stuff,
man.
and I've got like a chest. It's got like all my toys from when I was a kid, just like sitting in my room. It's like a Boston Bruins themed chest too. I don't know why it's them of all teams. I think they didn't have many. I don't think the Blues were an option when we were purchasing that. Uh, but but yeah, I think it's that sitting there, and then like some of my first like hockey sticks and stuff are probably in there too. And but yeah, like the little mini hockey dudes that I always play with when I was a kid are lurking in there somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, the hockey guys, and I think you actually got the Bruins because you subsequently met Jan Stasny,
That's true. Yeah.
and you had a Jan Stasny Bruins card, even though he played for the Blues a little bit too. I think maybe that was part of it, you know, I believe.
Yeah, I think
So
that thing has like frames in the back of it, and it's got that card like framed in there somewhere.
yeah,
So
yeah.
That's pretty sweet. That's awesome. Well, going into your perspective a little bit, I guess give us some good, fun stories from, when you were playing or playing in men's league or, I guess whatever it is, if you got any good stories from those times.
Oh yeah, I mean, lots of great stories. You know, I ended up parlaying my very late start into playing for Crystal Lake South High School in Crystal Lake, Illinois, and we at that time we there was an organized high school league called the Northern Illinois High School Hockey League that actually wasn't club hockey. It was actually affiliated with various high schools in Northern Illinois, and me and my two best friends actually one of them was a goalie, one of them played defense, and we just have so many great memories from that. And probably the funniest thing is I still wear my old high school hockey jersey around the house a little
Nice.
bit, mostly just to
Yeah.
have no one, because the kids and my wife
Yeah.
think it's funny. And probably the one thing I would say is I was number 88, right? And I was that number because that was also my football number. But what I tell everybody is like, I had that number before Eric Lindros. I had it before Patrick Kane. In fact, they saw me play in suburban Chicago, or they were aware of me, and that's why they adopted that number because there was nobody in the NHL at that time that had that number. And I think Lindros had it right at not long after I was a high school hockey player, but kind of fun joke. It's obviously
Yeah.
not real.
Yeah.
And then men's league, as Nolan said, I actually took a long time away from the game, so I played through high school. Didn't play at a higher level like you guys have, but I just played through high school hockey, and then um, really didn't play as a college student or after being, graduating college and living a little bit here and there, but not kind of gave it up. And then, as he said, when I was 38, I picked it up again. and played in the Hockey North America, right? So it's like this kind of long, big organized men's league. But probably the fun stories or funniest stuff from that was also played in a league in suburban St. Louis called the Brentwood League. It was just Saturday nights,
Yeah.
and the Hockey North America one year, the whole thing with that league is if you won your division, you won the championship in your city, then you actually got to go to Canada and play in a tournament in Toronto,
Okay.
which was a ton of fun. And so like the first year I think I did it, or second year maybe, we had a really good team, and for a bunch of old guys, right? We had a good team, and we ended up going winning, and so in St. Louis, and we beat, so we ended up going to Toronto, and probably the funniest story though wasn't so much anything to do with, or, the actual games, which were
Right.
fun, but we were driving into Canada, and at the time I had a big Ford F-150 pickup truck, and there all this equipment. I was carrying my bag and the guy that was driving me with me his bag, but a lot of my teammates asked me to bring their equipment with them. So we had all these bags in my truck, right? In the back seat, and then it's like a crew cab, and then back and all the way in the back. You get to the border, then the Canadian border crossing guy is like, so, what are you doing in Canada? Or what are you going to do in Canada? How long are you going to be here? And then we're like, well, we're here for a hockey tournament. He kind of looks in the back. He sees all the bags, and he's like, oh, what's in the bed? And he goes and looks, and there's more bags in there. He's like, well, where are the children? Where are your kids?
Yeah, right.
And then we were like, felt like just total doofuses, right? We're just
Yeah.
like, oh, actually, it's us, it's our tournament, and he goes, and the guy was like rolling his eyes, and then he's like, well, okay, well, is there anything that you plan on leaving behind in Canada? Yeah, it was kind of a weird question, but I guess
Yeah.
they didn't want us to bring a bunch of stuff up and bring it back or something. And I said, and the guy next to me actually deadpans, he says, only our dignity, so it's like, like just a bunch of
Yeah.
fools going up there. Probably the other thing on the Brentwood League was, and Nolan was at some of these games. I mean, these games were, just a buffoonery. I mean, you would think by a bunch of guys in their 40s and 50s wouldn't care that much, but like,
Yeah.
we get out there on the rink, and it's just like you guys or anybody who plays this game, right? You see somebody cheap shot one of your guys or hit them late or whatever. I mean, I'm the type of player where if I just instinctually stick up for my guys, and so like, and
Right.
I'm also like, I don't know. I'm not like a tough guy off the ice, but on the ice, I'll throw weight around, and I'll get guys'
Oh, yeah.
faces, and definitely protect my players, right? And so
100%.
like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of just like, the scrums, and just all the riffraff that would
Yeah.
happen after the whistles. In fact, there was one where I think maybe Nolan, you were at this game, but like some reason this guy like more or less just skated right at me, and kind of like there was like a big scrum in front of the net, and he kind of jumped on top of me for some reason, even though like the play was dead, and like I was like defenseless, and so like I was like, God, this is weird. This guy's on top of me. And so what I did was I took one of my gloves off. I reached around him, and I grabbed the back of his helmet, and I went like that, and I
Yeah.
ripped, and sure enough, his helmet just popped right off, and it like flew like literally like 20 feet away. You know what I mean? Skidded 20 feet away, maybe far away, maybe not 20
Yeah.
feet, but
Yeah.
far enough.
Good
And then
amount.
he got totally freaked out, like, holy crap, this guy's gonna come and beat my head, and he just ripped my helmet off. And so it was kind of interesting. But we had that. We had like these other brothers, the Rosen brothers. It was like this big rivalry. Our teams would always like end up in like more or less in fights, and
Yeah.
it's just stupid stuff.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change as you get older, guys. So just know that like you know
Still get a little
you,
rough and rowdy here and there,
you can be
you
you
know.
can be a very much older age, and it's like you would think people wouldn't care as much, but once you
Yeah.
get out on the ice, you know how it is, right? So it's
Yeah.
kind of the same. It's
I
funny.
love that. It's good though. At least you
Yeah.
can still, be competitive and whatnot, and kind of just
Yeah.
hustle a little bit, right?
Oh yeah, it's great. I had a ton of fun too. I mean, I mean, hockey's always fun, right? And so even
Yeah,
like playing in the men's league, just a lot of fun banter in the locker room, just like it is
yeah,
with your guys in the NA3 and all that other stuff. It's like it's no different even when you get older from that perspective, right?
I love that.
It's a ton of fun.
Yeah. Okay, I got a couple fun ones from a couple of games I played with you. So after I came home from U16s and we were going, I like skate around the net. I just look for a pass and just when the goalie's not expecting, I just rifle one, goes top shelf. I'm like, I was kind of a sick goal. And my advisor at the time, Cody Murphy, shout out, was telling me I had to put together like a little highlight reel for teams. Like I was already signed a U18 team, but like that's how you get to juniors and then eventually college. And then I put that in there from Live Barn. You can't really tell it's men's league. It kind of just looks like a spring league or whatever. So I put that clip in there, and I was like spring league goal or something. And we were on a call with him a couple weeks later. He's like, "Nolan, that was a sweet goal you scored. You wheel around, you shoot it top corner." And I'm like, "Thanks, man. That was definitely not in my dad's men's league game, but
Yeah,
it was a pretty
yeah.
nice goal." But yeah, and
That's
then I think I
awesome.
I played another game a couple weeks later, and we were playing the same team, and I kind of just skating around kind of slowly. I go coast behind the net, and this dude wearing 99 just hits me, and I'm like, it was like not a hard hit at all, but like I was just like, whatever. Like he gets a five, and he gets out of the box, he just leaves, and there was that was interesting too. Just guys taking men's league way too seriously. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, when a guy's wearing 99 that he doesn't have the right framework for a men's league, right? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no kidding.
Hey, there's
Uh,
Gretz.
yeah,
Gretz is
yeah,
playing for
Sonk.
yeah,
the Maryland Heights Marauders or whatever,
Yeah,
in the men's league.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I
awesome.
still play in that league in the summers. I joined McGurk's, which was a bar in St. Louis. I ended up on their team, and I've been playing with them the past couple years. Those guys are a ton of fun to play with, so shout out to them. But yeah, as my dad was saying, like men's league is actually honestly more fun than college hockey. You just like it's
Dude,
like you take it seriously. You go out there, you try to win, but like if you don't win, it's just
uh,
kind of whatever. You just
yeah,
chill and like
it's such a blast.
Yeah.
Like, so
yeah,
much fun to play in,
yeah,
Yeah.
especially after like a rough season of like juniors or whatever. You just go play men's league for the summer. It's just like you just have so much fun doing it.
yeah.
But
Yeah. It truly is about just having
yeah,
like the pure joy of playing the game, right? And
yeah,
which without all
exactly.
the other stuff, it's a
You'd be
ton
a
of
lot
fun.
looser too. There's not like pressure on you to actually like do
Yeah,
well, like make the right
exactly.
plays and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
if you mess up, you kind of just it's kind of just whatever. So
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, tying back into hockey stuff, you coached me for pretty much my entire youth hockey career. What are some of your favorite memories from being behind the bench for that?
Yeah. I mean, that was probably the other one of the other cool things about sort of getting back into hockey through Nolan's interest, right? I did get the chance to get the training and do the training from the perspective of, what they require to be a certified coach. And we can talk in a minute about your comparison of the coaching you received in AAA and juniors versus what I did. But like, but I would say, for me, like I probably was a coach that, while I didn't know a lot about systems and other things, because hockey has changed a lot too since I played it in high school. I mean, it was a long time ago, 35 years
right.
ago. So, but like, I do think I got a lot out of our teams. You know what I mean? In terms of camaraderie and people working hard and playing hard and having fun. So
Mm.
I think with Nolan, probably my favorite memories were, just, seeing your development over the years, but specifically if I were calling out certain things, I would say probably the out of town tourneys, like going to like Springfield, Missouri or South Bend, Indiana. Those were always a lot of fun. And then also the year that you guys went, that one team we had where you went all the way to the Missouri Hockey Championship. I think we were Pee-wees or maybe Pee-wees, I think, or maybe it was
Yeah, it's
first year
Pee-wees.
Bantam.
It
Yeah.
was
And,
first year Pee-wees because
okay.
yeah,
Yeah. That
Definitely was.
team was a lot of fun. We
Yeah.
lost 1-0. They had a player hit the goal post, or one of our
Yeah.
guys hit the
Shout out
goal
Matthew
post.
Schroeder with the post. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
But that so there were certain teams, that you remembered more than others, but I would say, that was probably what I remember the most, which is the not only coaching Nolan, but the other kids, and just, you just really created connections with these young men, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It was great to be part of their youth development, and another way to give back to the game.
Yeah.
So
100%.
There's a lot of guys who like I spent like we'd always end up in the same team every year. Like shout out Zach McClay, shout out Nate Bollinger, Ben Seawalk, Luke Hampton, Ben Hampton. Those are kind of the five guys I all play with a lot. Yeah, I'm still, Coach Zach's dad, Rich, was always your assistant. So they were
yeah,
you guys are really fun coaching tandem because you were Rich would just be screaming things. And the more I actually have learned like the technical side of hockey, I realized Rich is actually so like on point with a lot of stuff he says. Because I remember he
yeah,
would always be yelling us to take it wide when we're entering the zone. I'd always be like, why wouldn't you want to
right.
just take to the net? Now that I know hockey, you're kind of supposed to like kick it wide, have the middle guy go to the net, and that opens up the far lane. And like there were so many things like he would scream at us that I would think were stupid. And now that I actually know like more or less what I'm doing, he kind
Yeah,
of knew his
yeah.
stuff.
Hey,
Like, yeah,
Rich is a good coach. I mean,
yeah,
he was, and I think we're a good tandem, right? We had a yin and yang in terms of style, but we worked well together, and I think we got a lot out of our teams for two guys who, didn't really play hockey at a high level at all, right?
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so
So
I think one of my favorite Rich memories was it was like the one year other than my last year at Bams where you weren't my coach and we had this coaching tandem. They were husband and wife and they were like their whole thing was like let's just go out there and play hard. We're just gonna go have fun and like we would get shelled every game and I'm like this is just not even fun. And
Yeah.
then Rich, we played a team African Americans they were called. It's one of the local youth hockey organizations in St. Louis and we played them. We had like two games against them the same weekend and we played them like the Saturday. We lost like 7-1. Like just we just get pumped and the previous year just like, oh you guys go have fun, la di da, go play hockey, get a juice box after like and then
right.
my Rich comes in here, we call it the Wolverine speech. He goes, you guys gonna play like Wolverines? And we are just like, yeah, he said it like 4 or 5 times. I think we still lost, but it was like 4-2, so it was actually like a competitive game. But like
Yeah.
that was a
He, he
fun coach
basically
coach story.
came he basically came in and screamed at the top of his lungs. He eventually, I think what happened is he got so frustrated with that other coaching style of like, oh, it's okay, just go have fun, blah blah blah. And so like the kids sort of just played kind of whatever, right? And it didn't really get anyone that. And then he came in and gave the what we referred, Nolan and I referred to as the Wolverine speech, which basically he was shouting at the top of his lungs, "You gotta like Wolverines!" and like screaming and they played totally different.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like he was kind of like a John Tortorella type, right? He was that
Oh yeah.
kind of coach,
Yeah,
right? You know what I
absolutely.
mean?
It's Peyton Root
Very,
type.
very, yeah, just,
Yeah,
let's go. And,
yeah,
I mean, look at the Golden Knights. I don't think they've lost yet since he became the coach,
yeah,
this season.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it can work having that kind of style, right?
100%.
Yeah.
I
It's
think that's
just,
the coaching style I've always responded the best to is like
yeah.
if I mess up, I need you screaming in my face. I need to know I messed up. That's how I respond.
Yeah.
That's how I like want to go out there and do better and like you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I mean,
Yeah.
let's I want to make me skate a brick make me want to skate through a brick wall for you, right?
Mm.
And if you're all passive and kind of whatever, I mean, that's harder to
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
100%. So also, Razzie and I both played in the NA3. So for you as a parent, I want to get your perspective on, the whole league and just kind of break us down on how you feel about that.
Every team
Yeah.
I play for too, like thoughts on them,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
they
yeah.
operate.
Oh, like each team? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, well, maybe just in terms of high level comments and to start, right? So,
Yeah.
I guess probably the one thing that really sticks out to me from the NA3 was how surprised I was I remember we were having Nolan in his first year in the NA3. He was going to play, or he did play half the season for the Sheridan Hawks in Sheridan, Wyoming. And I remember Nolan that night we drove to Sheridan, right? And that was interesting because I mean it was like far away and
Mhm.
but like nice little town, really nice
Like,
town, but um we were out with Nolan's billet parents who regularly billeted Hawks players as they came through the system there. And Nolan's billet dad mentioned something kind of offhand at the dinner, sort of like, well, yeah, we had this kid, but then he got traded. And I that like kind of stunned me. Like what trade? They
Yeah,
they
right.
do trades in this league?
Yeah,
Like really? Like this is not like, the pros, right? Or
right.
whatever. So, file that away. And then, fast forward till the end of November, and I'm out to visit him for Thanksgiving weekend. And so we have dinner with his billet family, Thanksgiving dinner on the Wednesday or something. And then the next morning or the next day, he's on the bus and they're going up to Great Falls to play the team there. I forget their name, but like
Americans, Great Falls Americans.
yeah, so he's in Great Falls. It's a good what 5 hour bus ride or so.
Yeah.
And I'm up I drove I didn't take the bus obviously, but I drove up in the rental car and flew into Billings, Montana, rented a car, and then went down to Sheridan, drove back up. So I'm in the hotel room, and he calls me that afternoon before the first game, and he's like, "Hey, got some news or whatever." He's like, "I'm not going to be in the lineup tonight." And I was like, "Oh, that's a bummer." I come all this way from St. Louis, and you're not going to play, like healthy scratch or, it happens or whatever.
Right.
And
Yeah.
guys get put on the outside or whatever. And so he's like, "No, actually, me and two of my other teammates just got traded to the Austin, Texas Ice Bats." And so we can take the bus home tonight, but basically like, after or we'll be up here, but like, we're going to get home and back to Sheridan and I got to go to Austin. So I was like, wow. So, a couple months ago when we sat down for dinner with your billet father back in August or something, and he was like, "Oh yeah, there's trades." I was thinking like, that's crazy. And then so that ended up launching a 25-hour road trip for Nolan and I. So I canceled
Brutal.
my flight. I drove the rental car back to Billings, Montana from Great Falls, and I took a $300 Uber ride literally to Sheridan from Billings, which it hurt, but like I had to do it. And
Yeah.
then we got in his little Mazda, packed up, got back to his place in Sheridan. It's like, "Oh yeah, great to see you a couple days ago. Thanks again for that dinner. By the way, Nolan's been traded, so he's got to go."
Yeah.
So it was like one of those deals. And
Yeah.
then we packed up. We saw his coach at the Chipotle as we were leaving town, basically, right? Remember that? We saw Chad Bailey there, and he was great. He was very professional, and I thought it was great to you. And I thought that whole organization was really well run.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Chad's a coach I would
and
play for again, 100%. Sheridan,
yeah,
I'd
Chad
play
was
Sheridan again for
awesome.
sure.
Yeah, he's a great
Yeah.
coach, and
No
I
hard
thought,
feelings there. It
yeah,
just
great
happens.
organization. Look, they were moving guys south that weren't getting as much playing time, and Austin had injuries and some other things, and then so we drove 25 hours, and which by the way was a beautiful drive, but like it was
Yeah.
like you know I think 8 hours to Colorado Springs, and then we went another full day, and we ended up maybe being like Lubbock, Texas, and then we went like another 4 or 5 hours from there, probably, right? Because Texas is such a huge state, but
Yeah.
through Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, Wyoming. I mean, Wyoming's really pretty.
Yeah. Very
Casper.
scenic. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's really cool. And so that and we, look, that's probably one of the other things I would say about the NA3 and just Nolan's AAA and NA3 experience. So like he got into AAA an opportunity there because of COVID and European visas being denied, and and that's how he got to Springfield, Mass. And so like we had a good, 5, 6 year run together, like with these types of I had this sort of second bite at the apple as a hockey dad that I wasn't expecting. It was just sort of thinking like, oh, he's on the DeSmet High School, and it was sort of like he'd drive himself to practices, and I just sort of watch, kind of. But like, man, we had so much like, and because I wasn't his coach, and we had all this time in the car together, dropping him off and bringing him back from different seasons, and what six teams in 5 states, I think it was, over your AAA and junior career. And so I think, I mean, it was great. In terms of the NA3 teams, I mean, I thought Sheridan was top notch. I think Austin, the coach that was there was great and really nice to us when we arrived. And I think it seemed like they were building something exciting. And then that coach left. He got an opportunity in NAHL with their affiliate, I guess. And then seemed like there was a little bit of maybe a little bit of disruption because of that the rest of that season. And so then Nolan, you went in the USP for a little bit, right? The following year, if I'm remembering the sequence right. And then, but then you went over to Wilmer for the second half of that year, and then the Wilmer your third year. And, and Wilmer, like I know Crouchy, you played in Wilmer as well, and I think played in Sheridan too, right? A little bit. So like, but Wilmer, I thought, probably the thing that stuck out to me the most about Wilmer was the culture of that organization. And
Yeah.
like when Nolan was reaching out he was deciding when he decided to transfer from the Bruins out of the USPHL, he talked to a couple other teams, and he was talking to Wilmer as well. And Coach Reuter was just, world class guy, I think, top not like, and even I had a opportunity or two I didn't do a lot of at all getting in that decision, but there was some reason I had to call the club or talk to him or email him or something. And I remember getting a really good vibe. And then
Yeah.
probably the thing that really sticks out to me the most though was I think it was the end of your dropping you off at your first practice and kind of just seeing right away you were very integrated into this team and into the coaching sort of way that he was running the practice. But then I think I came up for your last games in early March that year, and coach, I remember when the guys were coming off the ice, coach literally gave every kid a hug. And I have a great picture of Coach Reuter embracing you, Nolan. And I just remember thinking like, man, that's pretty special. You know what I mean? Like you could tell that
100%.
you could tell that this is a place where these boys are really cared for. And look, you guys didn't make the playoffs or whatever that year or whatever, but like, it didn't matter. Like there was everybody was really invested in the players and in the organization, and all the people that worked in the organization and worked at the rink. And so I just think that team, that organization, was, I'm a business owner. Like we always talk about culture in our business, and like, that putting your people first. And that's really how I felt Wilmer was, with you all, with you guys, right? Where you guys met and started playing together and all those things. So like, great organization. And, I was actually happy too to see Austin's team improve last year, and they made the playoffs and stuff. And you could tell that they were building something there, but I think Nolan, you got there at kind of a weird time where they lost their coach, and there was a little bit of that second half of that season was a lot of guys had sort of come in and out that have been injured. And so that was kind of, I think, harder, probably a lot harder for you. And from our perspective as parents, right, we were sort of like, well, we're willing, if no one wants to go there again, definitely, I'm for it. Like it wasn't anything like that, but I think I'm just glad to see that they've come around, because they were kind of a newer
Yeah.
club too, I think,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
they were a
Yeah.
second-year team at the time. Phil, great dude. Shout out Phil Oberlin, the old coach there. He's had something going. It was a ton of fun at first, and like I was playing a lot, and I was on power play and stuff like that. He left, and it obviously, he wants to go up just as the players in tier 3 juniors want to advance to tier 2, then eventually college and whatever. So he took the North American League job for that reason, and he left us with our assistant Sean Tallier. He actually died a few years ago, so rest in peace, Coach Talley. Uh, but yeah, he took over, and his hockey mind was unbelievable. He just had like no clue how to talk to a team. Like he'd be drawing up drills, be like, "Okay, we're gonna pass here, pass here. You guys understand? You got that?" That was his phrase. Like, "You understand? You got that?" It was like legit every 2 seconds. Go here, loop around here. You guys understand? You guys got that? Like, but yeah, he was. What was weird is like we did like an exit interview in the middle of the season there, and like legit like after Phil left and Tally took the job, like he basically asked us like what we were gonna do next year. And I at the time I told him I was coming back just because like I was expecting the second half to go as smoothly as the first half did. And basically our exit interviews, like our real ones, were just a text. He just sends me this long paragraph of a text. Then I got the Junior Bruins offer shortly after, and um, I tried to call him like 5, 6 times to let him know I wasn't coming back. He just never picked up. And then the new coach eventually texted me and asked me what I was doing. I kind of gave him that spiel, and yeah. So I do think there and Junior Bruins, I was definitely there the wrong times because I had heard from the guys that were returners at Junior Bruins that it was not that bad the previous years, and they Nevin just had too much on his plate there because the NCDC coach like stepped down before the year and he ended up having to coach both Premier and DC at the same time, and it was just he just had too much going on that he
Yeah,
couldn't keep up with, and so I
it's a
don't
lot on
want
your
to,
plate.
yeah, I don't want to rip on that out of those organizations. It's just I was just there at the wrong times for both of them. Things happen. It's not. I ended up in a good spot in Wilmer and you end up at a college that I really enjoy, so I'm not gonna complain about that too much. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's funny that you mentioned the whole culture thing with Wilmer because every guy we've had on from Wilmer, like that's all they say is, culture was great.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
the building part of it and coaches were great. It's just like every guy that we've had on has said this exact same thing. So it's just, good look for
Yeah.
that organization.
It was evident to me as a parent that it was
Yeah.
different there. Like you noticed the difference immediately. Like when you talk to their people or when you were around the rink, the energy and how people treated and interacted with each other. And then again, as I shared with that, I wasn't expecting literally the coach to be is all the
Yeah.
boys are skating off and he's literally giving guys hugs and like, and like meaningful ones too. It wasn't just like a
Yeah.
little pat on the back or whatever, right? And
Yeah.
like,
And that's rare.
you
That's
know,
rare to see.
I mean, it was just great. It's
Yeah.
like, it's like, well, this is a great place for my son as a father. Like this feels great for me, right? Like
Yeah.
this
It's
is
good
going to
to
be a
see.
very meaningful life experience, right?
Yeah.
So kudos
Like
to
there
the
were guys
Wilmer
that we had on our
Warhawks.
team for like 2, 3 weeks, and we talked to
Yeah.
them later, and like every single one of them says Wilmer's their favorite spot they've ever played.
Yeah. I mean, even though I was there for what, like maybe 5 months, if that. I mean, even though I was there for that short amount of time, I mean, great culture there. Just the guys that I met and kind of the family that we made at the time, like it's just different compared to other teams. I don't know how to, explain it in a good way, but it's just different
Yeah.
there, which is a good thing. Different is good.
Yeah.
People, it's nice to
Uh,
be wanted, nice to be supported,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So,
100%.
yeah.
you remember that EHL combine we were at, and you mentioned you were talking to some other dad and said something about how I played in Austin that this one guy just loops around. It's like, you say the Austin Ice Bats, and like I guess Phil had offered him a tender or something, and
Yeah, that was
um
kind of a funny
he
story.
was like,
Yeah.
yeah, his advisor's like, yeah, don't go there. You want to tell that story real quick?
Yeah, it was just kind of a random, hockey parents out in the lobby kind of thing. But like I was talking to some other parent who was, I think his kid was skating in this case, the EHL combine, Eastern Hockey League. Is that I don't know. Is that
Yeah,
what that is? But like, we were out in like Walpole, Mass or someplace and, doing that. And I was telling this guy I just met, like, oh yeah, so my son's trying, he's here in the combine. Last year he played for the Sheridan Hawks and then the Austin, Texas Ice Bats. And this guy overheard me, like three people over, overheard me say Austin, Texas ice baths. He said, "Oh, whoa, whoa, wait a minute." He goes, "Did you just say the Austin, Texas ice baths?" And so it's just kind of funny, like that really like he was sort of, I guess, maybe eavesdropping, but like that piece in particular, and he told us a story about, like, I guess his son was like really, he was young, going into juniors at a young age. And this guy actually is kind of interesting because he was from Chicago, and so that's around the area where I grew up, and so we kind of hit it off a little bit. But he was talking about how his son was like only 16 when he went to the juniors, and that he was like really big, and he had a lot of people recruiting him. And I think for whatever, and this guy was from Chicago, and for whatever reason, he was just, I don't think it had anything to do with the club at all. It was just more of like he was just concerned about sending his kid far away to Texas, or there was going to be too much fun in Austin or something like that. Something along those lines. But it was just kind of funny how he caught my, "Did you just say the Austin, Texas ice baths?" Oh, well, yes, I did, and here we are in Massachusetts talking about, the ice baths. But yeah, it was interesting kind of to see the different leagues too. We did get a little bit of exposure to the USPHL, the EHL, and the Combine. And Nolan, of course, he played in the USP and AAA, right, with
Mhm.
Springfield and
Yeah.
the New Hampshire, the Wolves. I always want to call them the London Wolves, but I know that's not right. What was it called again?
New England Wolves.
New England Wolves. I don't know why I
Yeah.
want to call them London. I don't
England,
know.
New England, London, something like that,
New
probably.
London
Yeah,
Wolves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Londonderry Wolves, or I don't know what
yeah,
it
There was
is.
a
But
town
yeah.
called Londonderry up there, so that could be why.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
I feel like I was mixing up a
something.
town and
Yeah,
the name of the club, but
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah,
But
you remember when
yeah,
that guy's car got stolen at that combine?
I do remember that. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
like what was it? Just somebody,
So,
I did he leave
yeah.
it running or something? Or I don't
No,
quite.
so what happened was it was like this second or third day. So most, for those that don't know, most like summer hockey showcases, you play one game Friday, two games Saturday, one game Sunday. But for some reason, the EHL combine was two games Saturday, two games Sunday, one game Friday. But I think I want to say it was Sunday, but it might have been Saturday. I'm going downstairs for my second game. It's like in the locker room, and there's like four cops down there. Like everybody who had just played is like in the hallway. Um, and there's like a bunch of people down there. And I asked this dude like, "Hey, what's going on?" They're like, "Oh, someone's car just got stolen." And so what happened was some dude literally walked into the rink, goes down to the locker rooms, grabs, just literally just goes through, finds a set of car keys, goes back up, takes the
Oh,
car.
that's right. Goes
Yeah,
out to
that's
the lot and just
crazy.
starts.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow,
Starts, finds the car and just
what the
drives off with
hell?
it. And
yeah, yeah. He went into people's hockey bags and found a set of keys. Because
Wow.
people just think,
yeah,
well, my keys
Yeah,
are safe there, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Yes. Note to self: don't leave those laying
don't try
around.
that at home. Watch your keys,
Yeah.
and if you're got nefarious intentions, don't do what we just told you this guy did. It's
We're
not
gonna hide
cool.
your kids,
Don't do
hide your wife.
Yeah.
Do not do that.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
forgotten about that story, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
since
the
that
cop was
was,
like literally making every single guy go through their stuff, make sure they had like all their wallet, they
yeah,
didn't have their credit cards or anything stolen.
it's a
And
pretty
it
nice
was,
area of Massachusetts too. It wasn't like,
yeah,
Yeah,
what I mean, it was like a
yeah.
pretty nice town.
yeah. I almost feel like that's the area that might get targeted more because it's like,
Nice
especially because
vehicles, right?
hockey's,
Yeah,
tends to be a little more of an affluent sport. Like,
Yeah.
I think you like that's kind of almost what you want to target if you want to take a nice car is like you
yeah,
go
oh,
in, you're
sure.
like,
Definitely that area. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
it's
interesting, but yeah,
yeah,
yep. The journey of junior hockey even includes stolen vehicles at times, right?
yeah, yeah. That was a interesting day for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Last question we got for you. What are your favorite memories from watching me play through juniors in my short college career thus far?
Well, I thought, first of all, I thought I was came to your first game, and I had forgot, I think I got delayed on my flight or whatever, but I'd gotten there just in the nick of time. And then right as I got there, game was starting, And Nolan, I think you scored in the first game, your first college game. And
Attaboy.
what was cool about it, especially cool about it, Crouchy, was he scored and then he gave me like a little bit of like a looked up to me in the stands and kind of gave me like a like a little bit like a salute or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
I want like that,
And
I'm pretty sure.
yeah, and it was cool,
Oh
man,
yeah.
because it was like, we'd spent so much time together in AAA and juniors, like, and it was really just so much, such a joy, the
Yeah.
experience, right? Of like all that time we had together and being, again, sort of the second bite at the apple as a hockey dad, and then that was sort of like kind of like the icing on that cake, right? It's like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm playing college hockey now, and you're here at my first game, and he's started on defense that night. He's captain of the team, and he scored a goal.
That's
That
awesome.
was cool. I'd say the other one was maybe so much specific time, but like what I would say is more of just a progression. So like, Nolan, watching you go from your development, and I might go even before juniors. So like when you were in AAA, right? From AAA in Springfield, Mass, and then Laconia, New Hampshire, and then going into Wyoming and Texas and Wilmer. But like, I remember dropping you off at AAA. You had that got that opportunity because of the COVID, visas, and the European players couldn't get into the U.S. And I, I've told you this, but I remember dropping you off, and in my head, I was like, gosh, I wonder how this is going to go, right? Because it's like, is he? So, because you hadn't really played at that up until that time, had played at that kind of level, right? And so, but I stayed at, I remember you got out to the ice and like you were, it was clear that you were dialed in and ready to go, and then just to see your progression. I think especially in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, like you rapidly improved over those last two AAA years, and then also just to sort of see you become a man right through the rest of your junior career. And I would say that's probably, even going back to the NA3, I think, I viewed it as a very positive experience as a parent, right? I think it's a great league. I think it really did transform you in a very positive way. I think you had great coaching. I think he had great coaching in the AAA leagues also, in Mass and in New Hampshire. And
Yeah.
and so yeah, I mean that's probably it wasn't a specific thing I was watching in terms of a memory, but the memory of sort of watching you go from a 16-year-old to when you aged out at 20 through the AAA and juniors and kind of see what you did and how I mean, frankly, we were inspired by it. We really were. Like, here's a kid who's 16 and he's going off to, 1,500 miles away from home and, and not only hung in there, but thrived. Right. And so it
Yeah.
was just, it was pretty inspiring as an adult whose playing career is long over. It sort of inspired me in other ways, like my life and my business, right? Even and stuff like it was like, wow, just be unafraid, just go make it happen, work hard. So that part was cool, and I'll never forget it. I think those years were just super special, you know. So, and I admit, like when we drove away from Wilmer after your last season, that was kind of a bummer for me. I'll be honest. Like we moved you out and stuff, and we were driving home from Minnesota, and I was like, gosh, it's kind of an end of an era. I'm happy for you, obviously, going to Aquinas and all that, but there was a part of that where it was sort of like, gosh, I'm going to miss the annual, hey, we're moving out to this team this year. It's, teams getting together. Report date is this date, right? We're driving across country to wherever we're going, right? Like that was just a lot of good memories. But you really grew up on and off the ice, right? Which I think is really what junior hockey is about. It's not only about becoming a good hockey player, it's about becoming a man, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the one thing I really took away from juniors was just being away from home since, at a much earlier age than a lot of kids do. And like just growing up and, kind of, obviously always I think junior Bruins is the only spot I didn't live with a host family. I was in an apartment there, but like learning to like fend for yourself and live with just get thrown in some random family that you've never met and
Yeah.
you have to adjust living in a new house and new set of rules usually and like um obviously I always got blessed. I always had really good billet families and it's a lot of guys. Some guys have really bad experiences with their billets. I was very fortunate. I never had that. And like,
Yeah.
um, I think just learning how to be a better, like, more mature, like, I feel like I'm just like miles ahead of a lot of some people my age of maturity. That is until someone farts, then I'm gonna be laughing very hard for about 5 minutes. But like when it comes to just like, knowing having life experience and having been away from home for 6 years now and um it's definitely a very niche experience. I remember you and mom told me when you guys dropped me off here that like you guys walked past all these parents who were crying as they're bringing their kids away
Yeah.
from home for the first time. And you guys are like, this is just
Yeah.
nothing new for
Yeah,
us.
whatever. It's the 6th year in a
Whatever.
row. We were just
Yeah.
like, and then you weren't crying either. You're just like,
I was
yep,
just
see you
like, yeah,
later.
I'm
Yeah.
used to it. Yep. It was kind of weird this time because like I feel like most other times you guys have been around for a couple days and then it's just this time it was just like
Yeah.
we
Yep.
just moved in
Yep.
and then you guys were gone and then that was it. So like
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember early on, like one thing that sticks out about him being away, like the second year you were in New Hampshire, and I got this call out of the blue from Nolan one day, and he said, "Hey, he's 17 at the time. He says, "Hey, be on the lookout at home for some mail for me from the credit union and at home in St. Louis." And I'm like, okay. And he's like, yeah, I misplaced my debit card and I had to call and cancel it. And they ordered a new one for me, but they can't send it out here. They got to send it to the address where our house where the account is. And I hung up from that call and I was like, did my 17-year-old just do that all by, you know what I mean? That like no
Yeah.
17-year-old would ever do that,
No.
right? They'd be calling their parents and like, hey, help me. Can you call the bank? Or I've got this problem and I need you to fix it. And like, so that's like right away, it was like, you could just tell that there was like a rapid maturation process, right? Of
Yeah.
like, like that's something you'd expect from somebody who's like 20 or 21, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
That year especially was huge for me maturity wise because when I was younger, I used to do this thing where I would make like really personal jokes about people. I would completely be joking, but like the way it came off was like I was being rude. And like it slowly became a thing where like my two guys I was living with there didn't like me, and my billet family that year had a son who was the same age as me. So and then he didn't really want to, hang out with me ever. It took a minute to realize that I was like, the guy being rude in that situation. And like I like once I realized that I stopped doing that. Now I'm still really good friends with Luke, who was their son, and Nate, who was one of my roommates, and then our other roommates from the Czechs. We don't really hear from him anymore, but he was like, just being able to like realize something like that was like a really big personal flaw was that. And like,
yeah.
yeah, I think juniors
Hey,
especially was, yeah,
you're
I know you
suddenly
two
going to
know.
have three brothers and a sister, right? And
Yeah.
two parents that have different rules than yours do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the other thing with juniors, I know you two know I'm very big into faith and stuff. And like, that was how I was ultimately gave my life to Christ was through juniors and going through having hockey be my entire identity. You just can't live like that. And like, there's so many things that are like so fleeting and like just pass away so quickly. And like realizing that I was more than a hockey player. I was, created for a greater purpose. And being in Texas where a lot of folks are like that was huge. And like shout out Sal Piero, my old teammate from Austin. He was big in that
Yeah.
as well, leading me to Christ. And uh so yeah, that was huge, and it's coming to realize that it's like hockey's fun, but you get if you're lucky, you get 20 years of it, and like hopefully I make it through college and stuff like that. I mean, I'm obviously not planning on playing professionally or anything, but just knowing that I won't struggle with that, and like I'm actually starting a Bible study club with a few of my friends at the school here, so we got that going and which is going to be fun and just seeing how much Christ has worked in my life and how much I want to share with others. And um, I just want to make sure more people see that. And like, especially if you're playing sports, like there's so much more to life than your sport. And like, you got to make sure that you
Yeah.
don't base your life on being a hockey player, being a basketball player, and like you base it on Jesus Christ. Because you could have, I think even Tom Brady said it, like he had 7 Super Bowls and he still feels empty. And I'm like, that Christ is the thing he's missing. Like, you can have all this cool stuff here. You can win the Stanley Cup multiple times, but like you will ultimately feel like there's something more. And if you have not given your life to Jesus Christ, that is the more thing you were looking for. So
Well,
appreciate y'all
I
letting me talk
also,
about that.
yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely, man. And also, like kind of hitting off with like maturity and stuff for juniors. I mean, it's from going from say like, you're 15 in high school, playing wherever you're at, AAA, whatever it is, making the jump right to juniors. It's kind of life changing in a way because again, you have to, adapt and kind of do stuff on your own and kind of figure your life out. And then also it kind of leads you to say like a path of what do you want to do, like do you want to keep pursuing in juniors, do you want to go to college at 18, like whatever, stuff like that. And just kind of it's a different route in life than most
Yeah.
people take. And obviously a lot of guys don't want to take the junior route because expenses and whatnot. But I mean, like I've been telling my buddies that can still play juniors, like go play a year, see what happens, kind of have fun
it's
with
so
it. Like
much fun. If you just play a
it's an
year and
it's
go work in
it's
trades
such
after, it's
yeah
so much.
it's such an
It's so
experience
worth it.
that a lot of people don't realize that it's more fun than you think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But so that's all I got from that. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
anything else you guys got?
I don't think so. I think it's going to wrap the episode up here. Dad, you got any final shout outs you want to give or folks you want to say hi to, anything like that?
Well, I shout out to all your old AAA and junior coaches for sure, and
Hmm.
say thank you on from myself and Nolan's mom because and also the Billet families too, obviously, and
Hmm.
we won't name them all here, but they know who they are, and
There's a lot. So,
appreciate all of them as well, and yeah, I think it's been just an incredible journey. I agree with everything you're saying. That part about your faith at the end, I mean, I remember that first prayer circle I saw you do when you played for Austin up at the Combine in Blaine, Minnesota. And that was like, I was with your grandfather and that was a special moment for us too. You know what I mean? And so like, it's just been great to, be part of your journey at the junior level. And I'm also happy that you guys are staying close and connected as friends as go through your journeys and your careers and both hockey and non-hockey, right? So thanks for having me on, and it's a pleasure to be on, and
Yeah.
good luck with the next episodes of the show. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
appreciate it, and thank you for coming on and taking some time to shoot the shit with us and tell your stories
yeah,
and whatnot. So I appreciate it, and it was good catching up with you again too.
good to see you,
Good
Crouchy.
hearing,
Yeah, take care,
good
buddy.
hearing good hearing some stories from you that I've never heard. So that was nice, nice little story time for me. Should have had
Yeah,
some
we'll
popcorn
do.
over here.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
right. We'll give you some more at some other time,
Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah,
100%.
those are some good nuggets, and thanks Crouchy for good to see you, and
Yeah, absolutely.
good luck with everything you're doing too. So
Yes, sir.
appreciate you guys, and we'll catch up soon. Okay.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
All
All
right.
right. That's going to conclude the episode for today. Thanks for listening, those who did. Send it to your mom, your dad, grandma. Anybody wants to listen, send it to them.
Yeah.
If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, give us a 5-star rating. Anything less than that is just not acceptable.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh.
what else is there? Share the show with your friends. I think I already said that, but we'll say it again just for fun. Repent, believe the gospel. Everything that's good. Make sure you do it. This has been the episode 9 of 3 Hell, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.